Year 3, good morning. Welcome to today's maths lesson. We're going to get started straight away, carrying on with time. So let me share my screen and we will start with today's do now. So today's do now is going to be doing some subtraction equations. You can use the column method if you want to, but we should be able to do quite a few of these mentally. So grab a piece of paper and something to write with, obviously, and press pause, and then when you're ready, press play and we can go through the answers. Fantastic. You should have completed those. So I'm just going to go to the next page and you can have a check of the answers. As always, if you finish one band, go on to the next band. If you, for example, start on band 3 and you finish that, go back to band 1 and 2. It's not going to do you any harm. So today's lesson, we are going to be focusing on we're learning to calculate intervals and duration of time. So our success. So to be successful, we're going to need to identify the start and end times of events. We're going to count on in hours and minutes, and we're going to identify the duration of an event using a counting on method. So let's look at today's star words. Remember, my turn, your turn. Start time, end time, minutes, hours, duration. Let's have that one again. Duration. Fantastic. So duration means the length of time, the amount of time. And we're going to be looking at the amount of time between one event and another event. So that's why we need to understand what a start time and an end time is. Let's do a bit of a rapid recap of our clock. So to tell the time, we say it's either past or to the hour. Remember, once we go beyond our magic 6 here, I don't want white. Our 6 here, we are going to the hour. This side is past the hour, this side is to the hour. And the numbers 1 to 12 represent hours, and the minute hand, which is all the same numbers, they represent minutes when you are multiplied by 5. So hour hand is your shorter hand, minute hand is your longer hand, and they will represent the number of minutes if you multiply these numbers by 5. Then these intervals between each of the hours is 1 minute. Now this obviously changed depending on the analog clock you're looking at. Right, I'm just going to stop sharing my screen and I'm going to switch to my visualizer. So today we are going to be looking at duration. So we're going to be looking at a start point and an end point of time to learn and understand how much time has passed during these two events. This is important for a number of reasons. So for example, thinking about on our school timetable, when we're traveling using a bus or train timetable, and also maybe when we're seeing, for example, how long a film is on, how long a film is, or looking at maybe a TV guide. So I'm going to switch my camera now. Fantastic. So here I have my clock. And here I've drawn a number line. So on my number line here, I have split my number line into 12. Why do you think I've split my number line into 12? That's because there's 12 numbers on our clock. We know that there's 24 hours in a day, so our hour hand goes around twice. So this is, I have my start time and my end time. When we're looking at duration, we're going to always be given a start time and an end time. It doesn't matter what the event is. So on my clock here, I have my start time. My start time is 4 o'clock. My start time is 4 o'clock. My end time is 6 o'clock. So my clock, the hour hand is going to go around twice until I get round to 6 o'clock. My hour hand is going to go around twice to get to 6 o'clock. That might help you. How many rotations of our clock will help you in working out the duration. There you go, that's better. I've got my start time and end time. As I said, I've got my number line here. What I'm going to suggest you're doing while we're practicing these, and also maybe for your independent task, is there's a number line on the task sheet and also on the screens. You might want to be able to copy this or draw your own. So my first step is I'm going to mark on my number line, I'm going to mark my start time. My start time here is 4 o'clock. So I'm just going to put a little red dot, and I'm just going to make sure, underline that so I know it's my start time. My end time, I'm going to mark this in purple. My end time is 6 o'clock. So I'm going to mark on my timeline my end time. What I need to do is I'm going to use my counting on method to work out my duration. So my counting on method means I'm going to count in jumps of 1. So count with me. 1, 2, 4 till 5. 4 till 5 is 1 hour. 5 till 6 is another hour, which means I've jumped 1, 2. So my duration here is 2 hours. And you saw on the clock, my clock, we did 2 rotations. So which means remember our minute hand went round twice, went round the clock twice, which means the duration was 2 hours because it went round 60 minutes twice. Good. Let's do another example. This should be fairly straightforward for us. So my start time is 5 o'clock. I'm just going to put 5 o'clock on my clock here. So this is my start time, is 5 o'clock. I'm now going to also mark this on my timeline. So it's 5 o'clock. So my end time is 11 o'clock. I'm going to mark this on my timeline. So what I need to do is I need to work out how many hours are in between 5 o'clock and 11 o'clock. Now, obviously, I could potentially use my clock and go 1, 2, 1, 2, get stuck around here, 1 hour, and then count down the different hours to get my hour hand to 11. But that would take me a little longer. That would take me quite a long time. So again, I'm going to count on. I'm going to count on in 1 still. So counting on 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. The duration, for example, you can imagine this is a train journey or something else. The duration is 6 hours. There are 6 hours between 5 o'clock and 11 o'clock. You could also use your knowledge of your number bonds that you know you need to add. If you have 5 and you want to make 11, you need to add 6. You can see where that knowledge of the subtraction, like we did in our do now, is really important. Or you can just use that number line to help out. I would really, really recommend, whilst you're getting comfortable with this, that you use a number line. Perfect. So we've just done some ones where we've looked at it on a visual representation on our number line. What we're going to do now is we are going to switch back to our screen, and I'm going to show you how we can apply this. So here you can see I have a TV schedule. I have a TV schedule of some different programs. So Horrible History, New Round, Horrid Henry, and another episode of Horrible Histories. So I've got some questions here. This is what you will often maybe look at when we're reading a kind of a timetable or a TV guide. We'll need to work out different start and end times to work out the durations. So let's have a look at this first one. How long is Horrible Histories on for? Now, we can see Horrible Histories is on twice, at 6 o'clock and 12 o'clock. But for this second Horrible Histories, we're not given the end times. So we're not going to look at that second one. We're going to look at the first one. So again, my start time is 6 o'clock. I'm going to do a little mark here on where it says 6. I'm going to make it a little bit bigger. a little bit bigger. I'm going to do a 6 here, and then I am going to do a mark on the next. So how long is it on for means is how long is it from the start until the start of the next program. So it starts at 6 o'clock and it finishes at 7 o'clock. I'm going to put my mark here. So working out the duration, how long is it on for? So again, like we did on the examples on the visualizer, I'm going to see how long the jump, how many jumps I need to do. Because remember, the period, the interval on this number line is equal to 1 hour. Okay, so I'm going to do my jumps. I'm going to do 1. I only need to do 1 jump. So it's on for 1 hour. Good. What I'm going to do now is I'm going to rub out this so I can start doing my next one. So how long is Horrid Henry on for? What's my start time of Horrid Henry? It's 9 o'clock. I'm going to put 9 o'clock on my number line. What's its end time? So when the next program is on, the next program, which is Horrible Histories, is on at 12 o'clock. Right. So and then I'm again going to do my jumps, and I'm going to jump 1 hour, 1 at a time, which is equal to 1 hour. So 1, 2, 3. Okay. So Horrid Henry is on for 3 hours. Whew, that's quite a long time. A lot of Horrid Henry. And again, to make 12, I need to add 3 to 9. What do I need to add to 9 to make 12? I need to add 3. Again, these number bonds can help you, but I recommend we use the counting on method to help us. So Horrid Henry is on for 3 hours. Don't know if I could cope with 3 hours of Horrid Henry. Right. We're gonna do the next one together. So I'm gonna mark the start time and the end time, and I want you to work out the duration. You might want to pause it, or you might be able to just do it very quickly. Okay, how long is it from Horrible Histories to Horrid Henry? So I'm going to put my start time. My start time is what? My start time of Horrible Histories is at 6. It's at 6. What time is my end? What time does Horrid Henry start? Horrid Henry starts at 9. So I've given you your start and your end time here. What I want you to do is work out the duration. The duration. You can use the number line on the screen to help you, or you can even count on with your fingers. That will work just as well with this, because you can imagine each one of your fingers is equal. The jump from one finger to another is equal to 1 hour. So you might want to press pause now to do that. Perfect. If you haven't done that already, you might want to press pause to work it out. If not, let's do it together. So let's first of all do it with our fingers. So we're going to be counting on from 9 to 12. So counting on 10, 11, 12. So we say 9 and then we go 10, 11, 12. 3. Let's double check on number line. I actually prefer using the number line method. So I'm not going from 9 to 12. I've got confused. That was going from Horrid Henry to Horrible Histories. So I'm going to count on from 6 to 9. Counting on 1, 7, counting on 2, 8, counting on 3, 9. That's 3. So I was counting on from 6 till 9. Mrs. Totally got herself a bit confused then. I'm going to use my number line, which represents each hour. 1, 2, 3. It is 3 hours from Horrible Histories to Horrid Henry. You could also use your knowledge. What do I need to count on from 6 to make 9? 6 add equals 9. 6 add 3 equals 9. So the last one I'm going to get you to do by yourselves. So again, you can write down on a paper your start time and your end time, and then count on using the number line on screen or just using your fingers or your knowledge of subtraction. So I recommend you press pause now. When you're ready, press play. Perfect. Let's do this one together. So what is the start time of Newsround? So how long is it from Newsround to Horrible Histories? So what is the start time of Newsround? The start time of Newsround is 7 o'clock. 7 o'clock. So I'm going to put a nice big dot over 7. And what is the end time? So when Horrible History starts, it is 12 o'clock. So I'm going to put a nice dot at 12. So that's your first step to completing this question, that you need to identify the correct start and end time. Then we're going to count on. So again, use your fingers or use your knowledge of subtraction, or just use the number line. So let's start at 7 o'clock on our number line. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. So there's 5 jumps I'm making here, which is the same as 5 hours, because remember each jump is equal to 1 hour. So it's 5 hours. But remember, I know to make 12, I need to do 7, add 5. You can see why those number bonds are all becoming really important. Okay, so we've had a look at intervals in hours. Now we're going to look at intervals in minutes. So we can look at different intervals using our minute hand, remember our long hand. So we might be moving within the hour this time. We're not going to be necessarily moving, crossing the hour. So if we're using the minute hand, the numbers now represent minutes in intervals of 5. Intervals of 5. So here we can have our start time is 1:30, and I've marked it here on the clock first. Our start time here is 1:30, and then I've actually marked our end time here, not in that colour, which is 1:35 in this blue colour. So we can clearly see the jump. So we can see we're looking within the same hour, and so we're only looking at the minutes. So what we are seeing here is we're starting at 1:30 and we're going to 1:35. As we know, each one of these intervals is equal to 5 minutes, and we're making the jump from 1:30, so 30 minutes, 1:30 to 1:35. So we need to work out what the difference is between 1:35 and 1:30. Now we can do subtraction in our heads, or we can just use our clock to help us. So we're going to do, here's our start time. So we're going to do intervals of 5. 30, 35. We know that is 5 minutes. That's one interval of 5, because to get to 35 from 30, I add 5 minutes. Let's have a look at another one, and this one you're going to do some of it together. So we're going to do it together. So our start time is 2 o'clock. Our end time is 2:35. So I've given you your start and end time. We're going to be in the same hour, so we only need to look at the minute hand. So what I want you to see, if you can complete these gaps for me, you might want to be able to just say them out loud with me, or you might want to press pause now to have a bit of a think. Okay, so this is still the same hour, so we only look at the minutes. We are looking at the jump from, what's our start time? Yes, 2 o'clock. And what's our end time? We're looking at the jump from 2 o'clock to 2:35, absolutely. So we need to work out what's the difference between 2 o'clock and 2:35. So we can either count on, we can either use our knowledge of subtraction with the minutes, we can count on using the clock, or we can count on we can skip count in 5s. whatever you feel more comfortable with. I'm going to count on using the clock. 5, 10, 15, 20, 25, 30, 35. Because I know I'm starting at o'clock, which means 0 minutes have passed, and I move to 35 minutes past. Therefore, I know my duration is 35 minutes. Absolutely. Right. We can't always have the luxury of counting on in hours, which means we're counting on in ones, or we're counting on in groups of 5. So let me just stop sharing my screen, and I'm going to go back to my visualizer just to quickly show an example of this. So here I have my clock. What time is on my clock? My clock shows the time of, look at the minute hand first. Is it 2 or past? It's past. It is 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. So it's 6 minutes past. What's my hour? Shorthand. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. It is 5 minutes past 6. That is going to be my start time. My end time, let me just. My end time is, I'm within the same hour, so it's going to be 5. How many minutes? 5, 10, 15, 20, 21, 22. It's 15, 22. And remember, it's 22 minutes past because I haven't crossed my half hour. So what I'm now trying to work out is the duration between these two times. Now, we could use a number line from 0 to 60. We can use our knowledge of subtraction, or we can use the clock. I'm just going to show you how we'd work this out using the clock, which essentially, remember, the clock is essentially a circular number line to 60. So I am going to count on, and we can count on here. I'm going to count on in ones till I reach the nearest interval of 5. Because I know my 5 times table, and I think I might lose track of my counting here. So we go 1, 2, 3, 4. Actually, I'm just going to count on, it's quite short. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, 13, 14, 15, 16. My duration here is, according to my clock, is 16 minutes. And well done everyone on the spelling of minutes. I could then check using my knowledge of columns of subtraction, because my start time is 06 and my end time is 22 minutes past. If I need to know the difference, and in this case I'm going to subtract the end time. I'm going to subtract from the end time the start time. 22 take away 6. 22 take away 2 is equal to 20, and I've still got 4 to use. It's 16. It's exactly the same thing. You can use your clock if you have access to one, draw a number line, or just use your knowledge of subtraction. Right, let's go back to my screen. Okay, so here's an example. So Edinburgh to Aberdeen. So what is my start time? My start time is 18:15. So remember, we're going to subtract our end time. From our end time, we're going to subtract our start time. What is our end time? Our end time is 8:58. Now, my hours are the same, so I'm just going to look at my minutes. So 58 take away 15 If we're not comfortable, we can do a quick column addition. But if we are comfortable, we can just work this out in our heads. 58 take away 15. So if we take away, do the ones first, 8 take away 5 is equal to 3. And then 5 take away 1 is equal to 4. So the duration of the journey is 43 minutes. Now it's your turn. You need to identify the start time of the journey London to Reading and identify and fill in this equation and then identify and work out the duration. You've got a clock here. It might help you just to maybe imagine you're drawing the start time and the end time on the clock. I suggest you press pause to complete this. When you're ready, press play. Okay, fantastic. So London to Reading, what is our start time? Our start time is 1:32. I'm just going to mark it on our clock here. What is our end time? It's 1:56. I'm just going to mark it on our clock here. Just so we know, so we can imagine it happening on our clock. So my calculation, I'm going to do my end time first. From my end time, I'm going to subtract my start time. So I'm going to write my end time first in my equation. I'm not subtracting hours. I'm only looking at my minutes. So I'm just going to write my minutes here. So it's 1:56. Imagine we just don't really need to use our minutes. So I'm just going to put it in brackets just so we know it's there. And then I'm going to do our start time, which is 1:32. You can just happily write 56 and 32, whatever makes it easier. So you can see we could go count to the nearest 5 here, which is 3, and then we can count on 5, 5, 5, 5. You can use that way. You can use your knowledge here, or you can just use your subtraction. I'm just going to do a simple subtraction. 6 take away 2 is equal to 4. Absolutely. 5 take away 3 is equal to 2. The journey is 24 minutes. I hope that's what you've got. You can always just do some practice with either maybe working out the Leeds to York journey or the Edinburgh to Aberdeen journey if you want to do some extra practice before your independent task. Independent tasks, you're going to be working out durations in hours. There's a timeline here to help you. And then you've got durations in minutes. Remember, you're going to do the end time, subtract the start time. If you want to do it like that, otherwise you can draw number lines. And then you've got a question about looking at a TV schedule. And Horrid Henry isn't on for nearly as long as it was last time. Look forward to seeing your work on Seesaw. Any questions, ask them in your briefing or maybe post your questions when you're uploading your work. Thank you for your time.